Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ketu over planet transit in today's video. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome upon the round spherical Earth from our journey to the flat Earth. I don't even know why I made that video. Oh my God. So anyway, today we are going to be going over our Ketu transit video and what it means when Ketu transits over other planets. And that's what this video about. And it's funny, the last, 4 or 5 videos that I've made on transit, I always find comments from people, is this for 2016? Or is this for the last year? And I'm like, okay, this is not for any year. None of my transits video are for any year. It is simply for whatever year you want. It's simply the meaning of it. I mean, people have been so indoctrinated by watching yearly transit video on television and internet that they think that every video will turn out to be that. But this is a video that you could be watching maybe 150 years from now and might make sense. Perhaps you might need a little bit more updating. But this is what this video is about. It's about understanding the core of the transit. So today we're going to be going over Ketu over planets. And if you do not know where your planets are placed in your horoscope, so you can see when Ketu transits over it and what planet is transiting over what planet. So that's where you know the magic of transits happen. And for that, check out the links here. Check out my full astrological report, including my books, Astrology, Conjunction, and Aspects at the Speed of Light, and all my consultations here. So, Ketu. What happens when Ketu goes over Sun? And obviously, what I'm talking about here is not showing which house Ketu is in, what sign Ketu is in. So we don't know if it's going over your Sun in a certain sign or a certain house. That will make a tremendous difference. And yes, we will cover that, but for right now, I'm simply showing it going over Sun. So what is Sun? Sun is father, authority, kingdom, government, fame. Sun also represents the pride that you carry within you, the soul that you have. It is the development energy of the ego. So what happens when Ketu goes over it? Well, first of all, what is Ketu's energy when it's going over other planets? Well, Ketu is a planet of separation. Ketu is a planet that behaves very erratically. It's a very surprising planet. Just like Rahu, it's a very surprising planet. Ketu represents separation and breaks. And Ketu shows that understanding yourself through the spiritual plane. Understanding yourself outside of the material plane. So when it goes over your Sun, what it shows that a person feels quite introverted. A person will seclude to within. And they will run into a situation where their ego could get damaged. Their ego will get hurt. Because of the fact they see the ultimate truth of this universe, that your ego is nothing in front of this, this energy called universe. So you'll go through a situation where you thought you were all prideful and arrogant, and you have this and you had that, and bam, Ketu shows you how easily things can be taken away from you, how easily your pride can be crushed on the ground. So if, let's say, you were out there, all confident and prideful and flashing your ego and your money and whatnot, Ketu will come over and suddenly will take it away if you were behaving in that way. That's one part of Ketu. Ketu will show in this time period your father will take some spiritual pilgrimage. Your father will suddenly feel spiritual in this time period. And because Sun represents authority, Ketu can show, it can bring you around spiritual authorities. Or authorities that will reshape your ego in this life. Also, you might notice when Ketu transits over Sun, gold prices might come down. Price of wheat may come down. Then Ketu goes over Moon. Moon represents the mother. Moon represents emotions, happiness, comfort. Moon is our psychic sense. Moon is a very royal planet like the Sun. Moon represents that motherly nourishment. So when Ketu goes over Moon, it shows that the mind feels separated from its soul. Mind feels separated. So just like the Sun is the king, Moon is the queen. So you're going to have equally great effect. You know, if king is not present or the queen is not present, the kingdom doesn't really work that well, or the kingdom is like feeling a bit confused. So even Moon behaves like the Sun with Ketu. Like your mind will feel like, oh my God, why am I not connecting with things? Why am I not connecting with things on a material plane? But with what it does with mind, Ketu connects the mind to the outer plane. What this can show is that you will have great, erratic and unconventional dreams and visions. Ketu will take your imagination into the most unusual, awkward places. Like if, let's say, you are a writer. Let's say even if you're a blog writer. During the time Ketu is transiting over your Moon, you will become very erratic, irrational, according to the view of the world. You will go on to the deep end. Let's say if you were a complete liberal, progressive, suddenly your blog will reflect like evangelist views or very extreme conservative views. So that's what Ketu does. It's just like takes the mind and plays tricks with it. Because the thing is, remember, Ketu, as much as we think of it as a spiritual planet, it is still a natural malefic planet. It still is a malevolent energy. So it's going to screw with your mind. You'll feel like what the hell's going on? You'll feel depressed, or you'll feel suddenly awkward. You'll feel suddenly happy. You'll feel suddenly sad. But again, like the Sun, Ketu can bring you against a divine mother, a spiritual person who is a feminine personality, feminine figure. Ketu can increase your intuition and intuitive work. That's why Ketu goes over Mercury during this period. A lot of irrational decisions could be made. You will make sudden, quick, irrational decisions. Your ability to concentrate on things will either be very, very sharp and precise, or you just won't be able to concentrate on things. You won't be able to comprehend things. Mercury also represents your siblings and near and dear ones, like all your aunts and uncles and cousins. So there could be a little bit of a rift with them. Your communication with your near and dear ones, or communication itself, will suddenly either will go against the social norms of society, or the society itself will not be able to understand what you're really trying to say. Like your message will not go across as smoothly. And if you're a writer, or if you're a type of a spiritual communicator, this is a very good transit for Mercury. Because then you will be able to really explain that outer world through your words, through your speech, through your ability to communicate with any means possible. Ketu goes over your Venus. Brings unusual, awkward situations over with women. Ketu can show that there could be a sudden needing to be distant from women. Like, regardless of, you're single or in a marriage or whoever, you'll just feel a bit more distant. And it can also show that you may run into very unusual women. Women you just do not understand. You think you know who they are, but then they turn out to be completely different. But this Ketu and Venus conjunction during transit, or Ketu going over Venus, can show one can have a sudden realization, a spiritual realization towards relationship, what love is, what commitment is, or one can suddenly break their commitment. One can suddenly throw off the conventional wisdom of relationships. Then comes Mars. When Ketu goes over Mars, great fights can occur with your brothers, your friends. Unusual situations with men can occur. You will feel too confident and aggressive to a point where it can actually hurt you. Mentally, spiritually, physically. Where you think you're so bold and you try to fight someone and lo and behold, they turn out to be much more aggressive than you. Your actions can hurt other people. Or your actions can lead to great technical discoveries. Your actions and research can lead to great engineering endeavors. And the reason why I am being so contradicting, because we do not know where your Ketu is placed or where your Mars is placed or any other planet is placed. Like I said in the beginning of the video, we don't know. Is your Mars debilitated, exalted, in its own sign, friendly sign, enemy sign, which house? So this is why I'm trying to keep it as level as possible. And Ketu then goes over your Jupiter. Definitely you'll run into a spiritual guru. Or you will run into a very unusual guru, awkward guru, who will make you see things in the most unusual way that you never saw before. You will be highly enthusiastic about learning higher spiritual wisdom during this time period. You will not have any attachment towards money, wealth, family, children. Even if you're a married man, you're running a family, your concentration will more be towards understanding that greater self. The greatest self of you, your religion, your desires and hopes. But there will be disconnect from the material side of the planet. See, the best thing to learn about Ketu over planets, and this can sum up everything if you know about the basics of planets. Ketu will detach you from the material side of that planet and bring you in contact with that other side of that planet. Because there's two sides to every coin, including the material Venus, or the curious Mercury, or the action-oriented Mars. And this is the time when Ketu goes over Jupiter that we have a better understanding of our peers, of our gurus, of our religion. We see that spiritual side of it. And even when it comes to money, we see that how money helps us develop our spiritual side of life, or it does not help us develop our spiritual side. but you realize these things related to this planet. Mercury, even or Ketu, will always somehow through its transit will bring you across somebody who was connected with you in the past life. So if let's say Ketu is going exactly over your Venus, okay, or a Jupiter, during that period, maybe it's a 2-3 day period, a week period, whoever you run into, somehow you have some debt to pay to them from past life. Whether you fight some teacher in a parking lot, they took your spout for the car, and you curse at them, you say something to them, yet you don't know they're actually teachers at a teacher or professor at a university. So these are the kind of links that Ketu creates. You may help a person out of nowhere, and turns out to be that they might be some sort of a teacher and a counselor, and you had some debt to pay to them. So you did that. Then Ketu brings you towards Saturn. It goes over Saturn. This can be either a person can really understand life to its core in a practical way, or it can completely screw a person's ability to function properly. This can really take a person off course with their discipline, structure, and organization in anything that they do. Ketu can make a person feel lethargic and lazy during this period when it goes over Saturn. But it can also bring a sudden discipline towards spiritual life. You will suddenly wake up and you'll be like, you know what? I got to start doing some spiritual practices. I got to really get up and go to far away to that temple that I always thought I needed to go. But no, I have to go. I must go. It's a duty to go. Also during this period, it shows that your machines around you that you work with will behave in a very unusual way. They may either start working that they never worked before, or whatever that was working will not work, and you will have to deal with the most unusual situations related to that machinery. People who are very senior, very old, and wise will be coming across during this time, but they will be teaching you lesson in a very harsh, unusual way. You'll be like, what? How can this person just say this to me to my face? And yet, after Ketu passes over Saturn, you're like, wow, maybe they were right that they were so harsh with me. Maybe I did need to hear their ultimate truth. In that time, you won't see that. But once Ketu passes each planet, that's when a person sees what really did happen. Because remember, Ketu is a headless planet. Anytime it goes over any planet, it'll make you not understand that planet because it's right now headless. Once it passes through, that's when the tail of the Ketu goes over. That's when you're like, wow, okay, so that's the mistakes that I made. Those are the things that I've done. If Ketu goes over Rahu, it'll completely shatter your illusions. All the hopes, wishes, desires that you had, they will be thrown to blank if you were in a completely illusionary world without anything to back up with your actions and with your ability to fight for what you dream of. If you don't, Ketu will completely destroy you with this Rahu. So what do I mean by this? Because remember, Ketu is the army, which is the flag. It's like Ketu is a flag. Like, I have already conquered this. So it kind of like behaves like Mars, like, that's it, this is me, this is who I am. Now Rahu is that energy which is of the unknown future. Because remember, Ketu is the past. Ketu is something you have already experienced. Rahu is what you're here to discover in this life. This is why we have all these hopes and wishes and desires in this life. Man, I gotta achieve this, I gotta achieve that, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta buy this car, I gotta buy that. And if you're just counting and not working, Ketu will come and it's like, oh really, you want to get a Ferrari? Well, guess what? You're here working for $10 an hour and listening to your boss bitch at you 8 hours a day. Well, there you go. That's your life. What are you going to do? How are you going to conquer it? It frustrates you. It frustrates your dreams and illusion. When Ketu goes over Ketu itself, it brings about past life lessons. It sees every time the cycle comes, are you following the path that you're supposed to follow? Did you pay off your past life deeds or past life debts, I should say? And depending upon which house Ketu is in, it's going to suddenly make you understand that house like never before. Like if Ketu's in the 5th house, Ketu goes over Ketu. Somehow you will understand your children during that period. You'll be such an expert towards dealing with children because now whatever you were expert in past life, Ketu's going right over it. So it's like two Ketus sitting together. You kind of like now, and because this Ketu is alive, the transiting Ketu is alive. And it's showing your Ketu that, look, you're an expert in this field. Ketu goes over your 9th house. It's like you just know religion and philosophy and how to attain that higher octane of, wisdom. Ketu's in the 8th house. You just know that this is what occult science is. You discover more things about occult and mysticism. And you experience things that really show you who you were meant to be. That's what Ketu does when it goes over itself. Okay. So guys, this is my analysis of Ketu over planets. If you're doing my channel, subscribe below. And again, if you want to know where your Ketu is placed, all your other planetary placements, my reports, books, consultations, for that, check out the links here. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.